And we got you in chat now, voice chat. We are all good to go.
Is Cold Rice here?
There we go. And Cold Rice, I think we got, here you go for the voice chat. Nice. Chucklefish, yes. Drunk Kids Gaming knows what this is all about. I highly recommend Chucklefish games. They are amazing as well. And music by Chipsel. Kind of amazing. Alrighty. Just gonna wait for Cold Rice to get on in here. Hey!
Hi there.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Really good. It's good to finally be able to speak to you. I've played your game a couple times, so
I saw that. I saw that.
it's pretty good.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
So,
Hi, Cold Rice.
Hi there. Long time no see.
Yeah.
would you like to, one, introduce yourself, and two, tell us what exactly is Interstellaria?
Sure. So, well, I'm Cold Rice, and I am a solo indie developer from Washington State. I made Interstellaria kind of like a I want to learn how to make games kind of thing, and you know, positive feedback. A lot of people were interested too, and it kind of took off from there. And I decided just to go all the way with it. And it's a space game where you control the crew as opposed to controlling the actual ship itself or things like that. So instead of going and doing like a platform experience, you're trying to send crew off to gather resources and things like that. And you're selling a lot of goods and trading. It's like a really old school style space sim, which is great because I like the more old school style space sim games. So it's kind of a nice little mix of maybe something a little more modern, a little more different, and then something that I really, really appreciate myself, which is those older space games.
Okay. All right. Well, as we do our little intro here, pretty much, do you want to tell a little bit about what's going on in the story, or would you like me to read the text?
I can talk about it a little bit, and they can read it as it goes by.
Okay.
So the whole idea behind Interstellaria is that you had a galaxy at war, the war's over, and everyone's poor, no one has money, and the human race has been able to come to an invention to make travel between the stars really easy. And because of that, now trade is booming again, and you are a member of the Trade Corporation trying to find your way and you know, become rich.
And that is going to be one of the things is there are going to be similarities to FTL. I actually I think there are similarities, but I almost think FTL, although an amazing game, this expands upon some of the ideas, and you have, like you said, you can land on planets, you can check things out. There's a heavy emphasis on a story and a quest system.
Oh yeah, so I think the difference, if I were to compare, because I get that comparison a lot, is that FTL is definitely a strategy game, and it's one of my favorite games actually. I have lots of hours in that game. But Interstellaria is, I mean, there's strategy involved in the combat and things like that, but FTL is a story, and FTL is a progression, and Interstellaria is a story, and Interstellaria is a progression, and Interstellaria is about going from these planets, exploring and looking around. So it's a little bit different in terms of intent compared to FTL. So
it almost reminds me a little bit with the fact that there's so many facets to this game. I really like the fact that you threw a lot of different things together, and I'll actually start showing you what's going on here. Like you said, we have the ability to actually control the character back and forth. So here's our human being right now who is just sitting in the apartment room doing absolutely nothing, watching TV all day, not being a part of society, which is actually quite enjoyable. But there's going to be a little bit of a problem. Our roommate is not happy with us. And, oh, hey, I need you to move out. And you have really cool little different quest branches or dialogue branches that you can talk.
Yeah, you know, the fun part about making a game in this style is that the dialogue is so heavy, and so you have to write all sorts of interesting stories. And as I started first sketching the ideas out, all the stories were kind of, you know, I don't know, they're kind of generic sci-fi stories. I thought, you know what? We'll just make the guy kick you out of your apartment, and that's how your space journey begins. That's a much better story. That's much more relatable.
Okay, yeah, I'd agree with that. So pretty much he kicked us out, and we need to find a job. We need to do something with our life outside of TV, outside of Netflix.
Exactly. Is there such a thing?
I hope not. I certainly hope not. So let me actually, I'm going to move myself over a little bit. So what we're doing is finding that job, and we're going to be going around. And of course, you can't just have just a regular job. You can't have just, we're going to find something new. We're going to go pretty all out. We're going to go all in on this and try and find something amazing, of course. So let's see. There we go. Move that over there. Cool. So he doesn't have any work, unfortunately. He wants us, or suggests that we can become a space janitor, which, you know, that's good. Respectable. I like it.
Little reference there. I mean, the game is a little, full of references, but a little reference to some old school space games.
Yeah, there's TV shows that are going to be popping up. A lot of people had to show me I won't ruin it, but there's a reference coming up in a little bit, and I wasn't even aware of it. One of the planet names. Yeah,
so it kind of goes back to what I was saying about the storyline, which is that I have these lists of elaborate sci-fi names and how cool it is and amazing. And I thought, you know what? Let's just do something different. It's boring, right? No one's gonna remember the name of this planet, but this name's pretty fun. And I just watched the episode, so this is a great opportunity to throw a little something in there and let the people who enjoy that show go, hey.
Nice. So pretty much what we did is we got a job. We got a little robot dude to help with us too. And we went over there. We destroyed the robot. Now we're coming on back. We're telling him, hey, we took care of the robot. And he's just going to leave us the drone copter because he just doesn't want it anymore. Doesn't care for it. So there we go. That we completed kind of a little job. Really, this is just a prologue. It's kind of explaining how the game works, how to move characters around. You will have multiple crew members, and later on, multiple ships.
Yes. So, originally I didn't have this part of the game. This actually came maybe a few months before the launch, which is that we were watching people play and just struggling to figure out the crew controls. Mm-hmm. And so we thought, well, let's just have them, have this initial intro, and then they'll get a chance to kind of like slowly go left or right, up and down, click buttons, and then it'll feel a little bit easier when they go into space or go to another planet.
Awesome. Well, so for what happened is this once again is Interstellaria, which you can pick up right now. But what just happened is that actually here, let me make this a little easier for you. I'm gonna share the screen so that you can
that'd be great.
Easily see this. See if that's a little bit easier. I think it's a little choppy for Google Hangouts and all,
that's
but
fine.
This should allow you to not have a delay, hopefully.
Right, I can see what's going on there.
So another thing, similar to like games like The Sims, where you have to take care of your characters, every once in a while, sometimes they'll get hungry, they'll get bored, sometimes they'll get sleepy, and you can handle that by different things inside of your spaceship.
Yep, and then if you don't take care of them, they don't die, but they will leave your fleet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's actually pretty good. Is there a certain limit to? Oh, something's broken. So the captain's gonna go fix that. A lot of the characters will try and take care of stuff themselves too. There's a little bit of automation through that, correct?
Yeah, so it's it's a lot of managing because it's all about the crew. But for the most part, we don't want to make it difficult for you during the middle of combat where, you have to move this guy here and that guy there. So for the most part, they'll try to do things on their own. Mm-hmm. Unless they think that, you may not want them to do that, then they'll just leave it to you to direct them.
Okay. So pretty much what happened is, lo and behold, a crew of, slightly less people because a couple of the other ones died. Completely not the captain's fault, I'm sure. Was looking for a crew member. We said, sure, we'll jump on. We jumped onto the cool asteroid ship, and now we're off into space, and we're going to have a darn good time. I'm sure nothing will go wrong. And we're going to open up our map, and we're going to move on to Trenzalore.
Someone is asking in the chat what you wrote this in.
Oh, let me, okay, great. I should probably look at the chat, huh?
You find
like, all eyes here. Everything's locked out. Okay, so...
That's what I'm here for, too.
Little gentle prodding members. Interstellaria is written in Unity, or done in Unity, but I came from a background doing little mobile games, so it was a bit of a jump for me to get into Unity. So I actually discovered something called Feudal, and Feudal is done by a guy named Matt Ricks, and if you look it up, it's awesome, because what it allows you to do is code your game 100% in code within Unity, and instead of using the editor and using drag and drop tools. And for people who come from a background doing it that way, where you just code it from scratch, it's way easier. Now for people who, don't mind the scripts or for the editor, it's I wouldn't say it's better or worse. I would just say for someone who has come from a background where it's just programming, it's super awesome because it makes things so much easier and so much more at home. And you still get the benefit of Unity's cross-platform ability, which is awesome.
Okay. What we got going on right now is the space combat, which I really actually... Oh, wow, we are wrecking people. Holy crud. So people came up to us, didn't like us, tried to attack us, and, well, we thoroughly destroyed them with our cool little ship. You'll see at the very, very bottom, this is kind of like the arena, the combat arena. This is this area of space that you will be having combat in. I can highlight which ship or multiple ships later on, and I right-click to move them in real time, and then you left-click, and depending on what weapons you turn on, they'll automatically fire when they fill up, similar to the FTL like we talked about, but you get to move and actually directly control where your characters move. So you dodging something is what's gonna actually make you dodge something. It has nothing, well, it has less to do with actual numbers and RNG.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the biggest things I had a problem with, this was going back to maybe early development, was that it actually was random numbers originally. And I felt like I was actually getting mad at my own game because like, this is so unfair. I'm just trying to test this thing, I keep dying. So I thought to myself, wouldn't it be better if you could just actually move the ship in and out and let that manage your accuracy and how good you do and things like that. Then good luck with this battle over here.
Yeah, yeah, he's angry.
Main protagonist in the game for now.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some little strafing strats right here. Oh, okay, so we hit him and it did absolutely nothing. You can see in the bottom right here, this is where the guy's shields and armor is. And it's not looking, ow, so good. What I really like that you've left is the main window shows our actual ship, and we can micromanage our characters around. We can put out fires, patch holes. But when weapons hit us in the bottom one, it actually shows up and in the top one too. Yes.
It's you know, makes you feel a little bad for the guys because they'll get caught in fire and things like that, and you know.
So once again, the second game in a row now, we've been wrecked. We got to crash land. So here's the planet that we're offered to crash land on. These are events that will happen. Correct. Can you beat him?
You know, I have had 2 people beat him so far.
Wow.
And so we're actually working on a couple of pieces of art and things like that as some rewards we can do if you're actually able to must take a long time.
Oh, it has to, yeah.
I'm complete.
Good.
But.
Okay, so good. What's up? Oh, you.
So I was gonna say I'm completely shocked sometimes by players and the lengths they'll go to just like see if they can do it. You know, like they'll challenge themselves. I bet I could do this. I bet I could do this. And then 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, you know, Cold Rice. You know, I beat this guy. I didn't get anything for it. I'm like, oh well, I didn't think you'd spend 30 minutes doing that.
Yeah, you weren't really supposed to do that. Okay.
Yeah. So you can never predict those things.
Definitely. Yeah, especially I find here on streamers, we have a tendency of either breaking things or miraculously fixing or working things, and sometimes until you actually see it yourself, it doesn't seem almost impossible. Okay, cool.
Right, and you know, the cool thing about having all these developers on here, they can attest that the way you play the game when you make it is vastly different than the way you play the game. A person who's never seen it before will play it, like a real player.
Yes.
And so you'll find them do things you're like, I never would have done that. I don't know why you did that, but I gotta make sure I fix this now because it's just something that never entered my head.
So we just picked up a gun. So each individual character has different pieces you can equip on them, different pieces of armor that give you different bonuses, different weapons. There's riot shields that you can use. So you can put someone up in front that can block attacks and keep enemies at bay, put people in the back with guns or even melee weapons and have them fight. You don't individually fight. You tell characters what to do as like almost like a active strategy game. You say, all right, you go here, you attack this person, you do this.
Exactly. So in a game, it's really an RTS if you think about it in a lot of ways. It's just, you know, you have your groups, you drag and select. It's just like any RTS. The only difference is the perspective flips sideways onto a side scroller. Okay. So, you know, and then so there's a lot of benefit to that. There's also some drawbacks too. The benefit is that I get to present almost more of a theatrical view, almost as if you're looking at a stage, so I can present more of a level. The negative side, of course, is that people look at a platform and go, okay, well, why can't I just jump right now? Why can't I just get my keyboard and, you know, press the space bar and jump around? So, you know, it's one of those things, it's a little different, a little risky, see what happens. And I think for the most part, people really enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's worked out quite well. If you go in looking for a platformer, it's not gonna necessarily be that. But if you go in and you give it a chance, it's actually a lot of fun. And you've actually involved. So we just picked up our second, I would say, crewman, our actual fleshy, organic bag of fun and awesomeness, compared to our little robot who he's not bad, but he has not the abilities that the crew members will have, the fleshy ones.
Exactly. So you'll meet a wide variety of alien creatures, things like that. They all have different strengths and weaknesses. For the robots, for example, are super useful because they don't need food, they don't need to sleep, but they don't level up. They can't equip guns. Whereas the more organic creatures, they can level up, but they'll have needs you have to take care of. So it's kind of a give or take. Like, which one do I want to do?
Okay. So another thing that we're doing now that my way of doing this is I always check the planet, because there's going to be multiple different places that you can land. You got to clear them of all the enemies, and then you can go hit this right here, either the H key or this button, and it's harvest, and it'll go through, and we're going to take everything possible that isn't nailed down.
Exactly. And that's usually the best way to do it, I think, because then you keep yourself safe, you don't lose any crew.
Yeah. And another thing too, if you're a little shorter on time, you get this button right here is the fast forward button, and you can't see because I got stuff in the way, but there's a fast forward button and a pause button. The pause button's really nice actually, but the fast forward button will actually go ahead and take all the resources off of the harvest button will take it, and then the fast forward will get them moving faster, so you can see me moving. You can also go ahead and individually click things if you'd like, but usually as when I'm streaming, I want to click one individual thing, and I usually will sit there and I'll chat with the channel as I'm going ahead and while they're doing so. Another thing,
actually something kind of bugged out there, actually, surprisingly. So I'm noticing that you're not able to pick up that one resource node. It should still work just fine, but let's just
yeah, and it happens. Yeah. So we're gonna fix this up real quick because Mr. Robot was not up to the task. So that's that. Like you said, the robot's not bad, but I always find that I get him destroyed almost every time after a little bit.
Yes, he's not the best character.
And once again, you can also change the way characters look with different armor, so which is really enjoyable. And you can rename them too.
Yes.
So we can have Robot and last name Kitty gonna be here. They're gonna have a little dagger, and they're gonna stab things in the face. So that's always a plus. All right, so we're gonna put people to be able to take off. We need to put somebody on navigations. Also gonna put someone on tactical. Each individual station will have little bonuses too that they give you. Would you like to explain that a little?
Yeah. So go ahead and board your little drone back on there. Yeah. So the way it all is balanced is each ship hull is not very customizable. It's just the hull itself. But then you can insert stations and they get different bonuses. Now, you need things like navigation and tactical to actually fire your guns or travel around. Right. But as you get better gear, a lot of times they can stack and your bonuses can stack, and you can actually create some really powerful ships just by having a couple other extra ships on the side who are boosting the main ship.
Okay.
And so you can buy like a really powerful gun, a couple of ships with some attack boosters. You can just decimate people.
Right. Yeah. But also in the same extent, though, you're having to control multiple ships then.
Yes, and there's a couple new features that are nice that we have now. One thing that we didn't have in the game was we didn't have an option to assign crew to stations, and that's now in game, so it's a little easier, hopefully, to manage that.
Nice. Yeah, I was definitely looking forward to that.
So as you go into combat, they will automatically jump to their combat station.
Oh, that's great.
So a little less challenging for that issue, because I do want the player to manage the crew. I do want them to focus on the crew, but I don't want it to be a hassle, So it's one of those balance things.
Okay. What I just did there is I went into the fleet manager. That allows me to pull up a customizable ship that I can then add stuff into. So I had stuff in the actual cargo bases. So I equipped the weapons, because here's the weapon slots of this particular ship, and then here are the different grid-based spots I can add things. So I can move my scanner somewhere else if I want. I can put I've added a fridge and a cryo tube or a little sleep tube, and that's gonna help take care of their food and sleep. So my one character right here is actually really hungry. Well, we need to add power first. which also adds to engines, which will allow me to move faster in combat and out of combat when I'm traveling between the different worlds.
Exactly. So the benefit of that too is that, you know, if you are losing, it might be more beneficial to take all the power from this everything else and just put it into your engines and just book it.
He's gonna eat. Allow him to sleep real quick. Oh, incoming message from Tradeco headquarters. Congratulations on your recent acquisition of a genuine old Empire vessel. This vessel is registered to Tradeco. Now you too can join the bravest of the brave amongst the stars. Please stop by our assistance for assistance. We've uploaded our coordinates to your ship. So we now have kind of our first, I would say, kind of our main quest. This was all the prologue, and that was kind of the tutorialization. And there'll be a little bit more, but now it's kind of like, all right, let's go. Let's go exploring and taking care of what we need to take care of.
Yeah, and the cool thing too is as you go through the game is that you start off with a single planet right now, which is the Tradeco. You're gonna upgrade your map. You're gonna have like 5 or 6 planets. You upgrade your map again. You're gonna have 20 planets. You're gonna upgrade your map again, and it just kind of grows as you go through. So that's a nice little benefit too. I think some players were a little disappointed because they said, "Well, the map's so small. It's only 6 worlds." I'm like, "Well, no, hold on. You gotta play more than 20 minutes."
Yeah.
And you actually get to see that you actually expand the map as you go through the game.
Yes.
Which is really, really cool.
2 very large sizes actually.
Yeah.
Even like what I would say, like maybe an hour and a half in, you've gotten a few upgrades to your map, and it's huge.
Very big. Someone said that they traveled around for about 8 hours trying to get to all the worlds and dropping down and coming up. And
jeez.
I know. Like I said, I never thought someone would do that. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's pretty neat to know. I didn't know that. That would be something to do, I guess.
Yeah. No. Because each individual thing is really. There's some great places to travel to. Oh, we're in a fight. Nice. So because we don't have a scanner, I can't actually see what's going on with. Okay, let's see where we're at. Tactical navigation. Okay. So we're gonna unpause it real quick.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Put Robot Kitty on there too. So now we're moving. Because I have so many points put into my engines in the top left, I'm able to move around extremely fast. Let's also turn on our guns. That might be a good call. Okay, we're gonna left click on the enemy that we want to attack, and it's gonna start shooting. We have these little guns right now, but you know what? I'm actually gonna move them onto scanner so I can see the map. Later on, once we get to the Tradeco company, we're gonna be able to actually pick up other crew members. We could technically get ships if we had it, but we're not gonna have the money for that. And then also, I may say goodbye to Mr. D, Mr. Robot. Wally might have to take an exit.
No, we'll see. Let's hope. I have some people who are really protective of the guy. So, yeah.
So a lot of what we're doing here is we're gonna turn. Let's see.
Yeah, put a guy back in tactical.
Oh yeah. We gotta put him on tactical. Oh yeah. Normally, I think this is the first time I've actually ever had like a big fight before the Tradeco company. Because usually the first thing I do is I'll grab a third person at the Tradeco company and put them on either scanning and tactical, whichever one I'm not using. Because you have to have someone on scanners to be able to see more about the map, and you got to have somebody on tactical to actually be able to fire.
Exactly. Tactical or scanning is kind of like it's an optional station in some ways, because you can still fight pretty well without it.
Right.
But there's asteroids out there, there's things in the way of you, and you can't see the bullets coming at you. So a lot of times it's pretty beneficial to have a scanner. It also increases your accuracy.
Yes. Yeah, and the crew members can actually level up, and you can get better crew stations, which can also increase the accuracy, damage, and speeds, correct?
Exactly. So just like you can customize the stations to make a ship better, you want to get really good crew because each one levels up, and their bonus they give to the station is actually better than the station's bonus itself. So if you have a really, really good navigator, and you have on a really good navigation station, you'll go super fast, like crazy fast, and it's kind of fun to watch.
It makes a big difference. I almost, as someone that prefers to have really big guns and just shoot everything and then just be fine, I find that actually speed in this game is almost preferable, at least for me. Being able to dodge stuff and get into better positions to shoot almost, I think, is better for at least my playstyle.
Yeah, you can actually take enemies out a lot quicker with a faster ship than you probably could with a bigger ship that doesn't move very good but has a lot of guns.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna let you sleep a little bit. Oh, he's not too bad then. So here's our different stores. Now we're at Tradeco, which is where they own this ship, and for whatever reason it actually crash landed. We fixed it. We found this random crew member that was probably going to go insane, and we've brought him on board, and now we're flying and exploring the stars.
Exactly. Okay. So that, everyday kind of thing, right?
Yeah, normal stuff. I mean, you get kicked out of your house for watching too much Netflix, and then you're in the stars.
Exactly.
One of the trade things about this too is because I need some money, I need to sell some stuff. So I can sell 25, 50. It's got to be in a special section to bring it. It's like the away crew inventory. So,
Yes.
and not the ship inventory. So I put
So
it
we're
in
gonna
the-
change that up a little bit. Actually, sorry to interrupt there, but
go
I know
for it.
some people are having a little difficulty with that. So the way machine cargo was actually to make sure that people couldn't just endlessly farm planets super easily.
Right.
But then it became maybe a little bit more of a hassle because then you have to load up your wave inventory, drop
Mm-hmm.
down, come back up, blah 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 blah. So you'll actually be able to access your inventory from space in the trades when you trade.
Oh, fantastic.
In the next patch. Next patch will be sometime this weekend, I'm hoping.
Okay, awesome. So there you go. So that's already a couple new things that you've added that have made the game a little more seamless, a little easier for people to get into and
Yeah, I
play.
mean, I want to be difficult. I want it to manage, like I said, but hassle. If it's a hassle, that's not really my goal.
Okay. So pretty much we're asking right now kind of what's going on. They recognize the ship as a trade co ship, and we're kind of trying to figure out. And our settlement, our community, our little world that we just left and got kicked out of, well, aliens came and abducted everybody. So it was actually pretty fortuitous that we were able to get off the planet before the planet was pretty much wiped clean of sentient beings.
Exactly.
So we are going to get our first quest to go on back and maybe kind of figure out what's going on there. Okay, so now we have our quest. Here's a kind of a nice recap. So if you're just skipping through stuff, I've read it a couple times, but what we just told you is pretty much what is going on. But it gives you a nice current mission log item, and it lets you figure out what you want to do. And if you have any questions, you can always pop back into that and figure out what you want to do.
Exactly. You know, the game is a lot about experimenting. So one thing we experimented with was let's not have a quest log. Let's just give you the evidence of the mystery, and you have to figure it out yourself. And I think it's been pretty successful overall. There's definitely a lot of people who still kind of struggle going, well, I don't know where to go from here with this item. But overall, I think everyone's been able to follow. It's been kind of cool to be able to say, okay, I'm just going to give you a relic or an item or some kind of artifact, and you got to figure out the rest yourself. And that's been pretty nice because I remember, a game like Star Control, for example, that's really the whole game.
Yeah.
Go find your own way,
Let's see. We're gonna get Pinmaster or Heisenberg. Heisenberg. I guess we'll go with Heisenberg. So we're gonna get him for $400. Luckily, we're able to have a couple different things to sell. One of the things is valuable scrap is worth about 50 normally, but because of where we're at, there's a special bonus for selling him for an extra 100, which allows me to even get more from it. Okay, so Heisenberg, you're gonna go there. We go there. So now I need to add one more energy to the ship station so I can run 3 at once, because each one's gonna take 1. The later ones are gonna take 2, possibly I'm guessing even 3. So we pretty much have Breaking Bad now. Yeah. This is a good thing.
It is a good thing. Along with trade, though, the trade's actually pretty dynamic because there's a lot of places that want certain items that don't want items. So the cool thing about this was, and then going back to like the thing I didn't expect players to do, is that that's also new from I think about 2 weeks ago. It was an easy thing to add in, and people were just like, I can't really see my crew at a glance, so we threw a little element in there just so they can, just kind of see what they're doing. It kind of it shows that they're in combat, if they're gathering, whatever they're up to, and you can use that to go through them. You also have some hotkeys now, which is nice for the crew in case you want to do that.
Okay, and those are
control and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The numbers.
awesome. Very nice.
Really quick, Tenchi, I don't know if you can edit this quickly, but do you want to just throw the name of the game up on the stream somewhere? 'Cause
Yeah.
that seems to be the most common question.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and because we've got so many people watching and peeking in at this point, it would probably help to do that. Also, it's looking like the next game is going to kind of be up shortly as well. So make sure, Cold Rice, that make sure you say all the things you want to say about the game and don't hold back and throw links in chat like a crazy person.
Okay, I'll throw a link in chat right now. I'm gonna do it. You can't stop me. If I can find my link. Hold on, there it is.
Crazy links!
Links are always a good thing.
I wonder what happens if I do it 3 times. Will I die? Will I get in trouble? There you go. Is that crazy? I think that's pretty crazy.
That's pretty good. I like it.
You know what, though? You know what's really funny about that? That's the wrong link.
That's a good link, though. I like that link.
It was a good link. I like that a lot. There you go. That's what I wanted to link right there.
That was extra crazy, that
It was
link.
super crazy. It was so crazy it was wrong. Great.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about what's going on. Later on, you're going to go out. We're going to find out that there are bounties we can take, little side missions. We can go after individuals. That'll lead us to different places in the different... we have that on too? Let's turn that on too. So we're going to be firing all our guns. There's a main quest I can go, so we're going to find out about our settlement that disappeared because aliens. Because, you know, aliens. And then later on, we're going to start picking up a fleet. We're going to pick up multiple ships. You have complete control over what ships, complete control over what weapons, complete control over when the weapons fire. I can stagger these. I can turn them on and off with hotkeys. I can pick up new loots. I can do pretty much kind of whatever I want. There's a bazillion different references in this game. There's actually a Kirk from Star Trek, very big reference, very obvious reference, that we'll find usually at the beginning of the game. He'll just be going around with his gigantic weapons to, of course, you know, bring peace. There's nothing that you do with big weapons outside of peace. So, a lot of really cool stuff. There's one of the best parts about this, similar to FTL and other really cool roguelikes or roguelites, is that there's all kinds of little things to do in the world too. So there was a little asteroid that I happened upon, and there was a beautiful settlement, a utopia where no one was fighting. Everything was perfect. It was literally the best thing that you could possibly do with sentient beings, and it gave me the option to land on the asteroid and talk to them, or take off. And of course, you know, we're gonna sit there and we're gonna talk to them and hang out. As we entered their atmosphere, my engines caught their atmosphere on fire, destroyed everyone in it along with the asteroid. I destroyed the utopia, so...
I love that one. That one's great.
Was there a chance now that I wasn't going to do that?
There's a couple of events that have that, but that one I left that way. It's only one way, and it's one of those things where it's like I want the player to be able to sit there and just go, "Oh crap."
Yeah. That was my reaction. I felt pretty bad. Chat was giving me a lot of crap about that one, but I also laughed too because I didn't just get destroyed. And there's been other times where I tried to help people, and I've taken damage to the ship because of it.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to be presented with a lot of choices too, which is kind of fun. You know, Oregon Trail was actually another influence in this game. There we go.
There he is. So we have big guns and we come in peace. Of course, you know, it has absolutely nothing to do with the tactics of having really large weapons to scare people into peace.
Exactly.
And we can talk to him about the abductions and learn a little bit about him, about the blob enemies that are capturing humans alive. And then he's just pretty much just a font of information. I would assume some flavor text.
Mostly flavor text, but anything that's in blue is relevant to what's happening right now.
Okay.
So anytime you see a blue text, it's usually good to click on it and see what they have to say. So for example, what he says there will change later on, depending on where you're at in your journey through space.
Well, we're gonna see how the Prime Directive goes in space, considering I just opened fire on him.
Well, his ship is a lot bigger than yours, so we'll have to see how this goes.
And you can see also too, a lot of what the weapons you can get originally right off the bat are these 20mm Gatling guns. So you see like the little lines there. There's also the little rockets. The rockets are a lot slower, but do a lot more damage, correct?
Yes, exactly. So you're going to get quite a progression of weapons, and rockets are phenomenal. They're really powerful. They're just the slowest weapon in game. Projectiles are pretty quick, but they also don't take much energy, so you can get a lot of projectiles on there and really just lay down big death blossoms at your enemy. Or, you know, lasers are actually probably the best. Lasers work on how much energy you have in your systems.
Oh, okay.
So if you have a lot of weapon energy, it multiplies. So it depends on how you want to play. I've noticed a lot of players, what they'll do is they'll have a couple different setups going. That way, depending on the enemy, they can just take it apart really quickly instead of having just one setup.
Okay. Makes sense. And we've seen a lot of the combat in space right now, but one of the missions that we're actually doing right now, we need to go with our crew, whoever you have on your crew. You can have less, more, whatever it is. You can customize them with stuff that we're find or buy, but we actually go onto the surface and we're going to be attacking different enemies. And this is all, once again, automatically taken care of by clicking on the character, highlighting the character or characters, and then right-clicking on the enemies. And depending on the weapon, they'll engage the enemy at the most efficient possible way.
Exactly. Once they're in range, they'll open fire. Almost to a fault, so you gotta be careful.
Yeah, I almost found that if you can find it, the riot shield right off the bat, throw that person up front, and then move them all up to a character, and then right before the enemy, defend them, and they just open up a can of whoop-ass on them with those guns usually.
It's super fun to watch actually because a lot of players, they toss the riot shielder for a throw away. That's the metrics involved, so I get to see, how often are items sold, how often are they not, and a lot of people throw away that riot shield. And every now and then on Steam, I'll get a little post. Oh man, guys, you have to use the riot shield. It's so awesome. So you get to see a little epiphany where it's like, no, this weapon's great. It's like the best weapon in the whole game. You'll use it for the entire time. And it all comes from like the very first planet you go to.
Yeah.
But everyone wants big guns, you know, everyone wants to let loose, and so they tend to throw it away.
And there are, I would say there are bosses. I don't want to give away the one that I'm thinking of, but there's a very large creature during the first bounty quest.
Too, actually. So you'll get to experience, you know, things that are about your size, things that are a little bigger, and things that are really big. So you have to be really careful, because if you have a bad makeup, you're not really paying attention, which is the biggest problem that people have. They're not really paying attention to the crewmen. It'll get eaten alive.
Oh yeah. And you can even micro and kite, I found on that one, because you put them in a position where there's a little lip that you can jump up onto. So I usually go in, hit them a bunch of times, jump back onto the lip and back off, and then kite them a little bit. I'm assuming later on that's not going to be nearly as useful or able to do.
You're doing really good here. I'm really impressed.
Well, I'm trying to hem him in and keep him down there so he can't really move away.
Yeah, he'll run from you, so you're doing a good job keeping him.
Yeah, no, I don't want him running. Oh, that's a good one. Don't run. Yeah, this is I would say probably, I won't say more advanced, but it's a fight that normally you wouldn't have against someone. Usually a lot of the fights early on, you can handle them pretty easily.
Right. This is the enemies do scale slightly with you. Okay. Not 100%, but most of the spawns will try to stay within your makeup, your fleet makeup. But not 100%. So you'll still get things like this frigate here. It's a lot more powerful than yours.
Right. Well, he was friendly and I attacked him, so it's not his fault. It's definitely mine. Oh, and there we go. Now, the one thing that you want to be kind of careful of, we're going to take some damage, as you can see right there on the main screen. You got to be careful, and I've cut or staggered weapon firing sequences, because these are all the items and loot that they've dropped, and if you fire at them, it'll destroy it. So you don't want to open up on the loot, possibly.
It's kind of a catch-22 though. The nice benefit about the loot is the loot also acts as a shield for you, because it'll absorb all incoming fire. And only a little bit of loot drops each enemy. Right. So potentially, if it's a smaller enemy, you don't really care about the loot. Opening up and letting the debris soak up the battlefield is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of getting all loot, good or bad, because then you can always at least sell it too, and maybe get something good out of it.
And then just to throw it out there again, guys. So if you're just watching or just tuning in, this is Interstellaria. It's a 2D space sim, kind of like old school style, with quests and traveling the galaxy and landing on planets. It's on Steam right now. It's also on GOG or GOG, and it's also on Humble. So you can get it everywhere. And we're hoping that at the very beginning of the new year, at the very end of this year, to also put it on tablets, which is very awesome.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
yeah, it works. Yeah, it works almost seamlessly on tablet already, but the UI has some adjustments to be made to work with tablet a little better. So we have a little bit of turnaround time.
Okay.
Cool. So you gave us some keys to give away for this.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do my thing where I entice the people that are on the front page to come into the chat, hang out for a minute, so you can enter the giveaway if you'd like a copy of Interstellaria, which is made pretty much just by that one disembodied voice you've been hearing. So do come in, hang out, ask the deaf questions. We're going to be switching games very shortly here to something called Emily is Away, which is really weird and different. Should be cool. So if you have last thoughts or things you didn't want, you didn't get a chance to express and stuff, Cold Rice, now is totally the time for that. As I do this totally not condoned by Twitch giveaway thing.
Well, actually the nice thing is that HA Tenchi has been doing a great job of going over the features of the game. So he played it before, so he's a good lay of the land. But it's one of those games that if you really like exploring, kind of finding things, you're really gonna love this game a lot, because finding things is the best thing about it. There's just so much little stuff going on, and there's all these little dialogues and different things to talk about, and there's a race of plants that crack dad jokes all day, and it's fantastic. Just all these little things you can experience. Every little planet's a little different, so that's really cool too. And then the combat is really fun. I think that once you start getting to 3 ships, 4 ships, 5 ships, and the enemies start getting to 6, 7, 8, 10 enemies, it gets really intense. But at that point, it's just really tactical and really fun because you've got a pretty good feel for it at that point.
And at any time, you can press spacebar and pause it and give orders to different things. So if for anybody that may be a little daunted about the size of the fleet battles, don't be too worried about it because you can actually micromanage and pause it to do more of a turn-based if you want.
Exactly, and that should make it, for even if it's just like you're overwhelmed or you have fires going off, you don't know what to do, hitting pause is a great way to kind of get a feel for what's happening and fix it.
Broadside him! Oh! Yeah, the combat in this is amazing. When you land, going around and picking up stuff is actually not hard because a lot of it's automated, and then you can also fast forward it too. So if you're really impatient, you're gonna be able to get through it pretty quickly. And then you can take all that loot, sell it, and then buy more stuff, more crew, another ship. Like someone said earlier, you can leave some of the old stuff and put it on the new ship too, and just get it out really quickly. There we go.
Exactly. So, if you have a pretty good setup, but you just have a more powerful ship, it might be worthwhile to strip your ship, put on the new ship, and then go from there. And the cool thing is, hopefully for the players, you feel like you're the captain of the ship. That's the best part too, is that you are the one in charge. You tell them where to go. You're the boss. You decide where to spend the loot. So that's a pretty cool feeling to have when you're exploring space.
Anything else that you plan on putting in it? Maybe something that we haven't really shown. We haven't really gotten to show off a lot of the story, a lot of the quest. There's bigger ships, there's smaller ships. Anything else that we haven't really touched on that you're really proud of, that you really enjoy?
Let me think about that real quick. I think the only thing we haven't really talked about a lot of is that there is a number of hidden items you can get to, which is another thing. Like I said, it's all about exploring and looking for things. But there's actually a lot of side things you can find that really are really phenomenal. And the cool thing is that you're going to feel really powerful. There's shielding that you get for your crew, different like satellites that'll travel around with them. You have armor that's very, very Metroid-esque. That's pretty fun to have in game. Yeah, and there's cool little ships. There's a space shuttle.
Oh,
I don't
nice.
mind. I don't mind sharing that because it's on. It's like everyone's favorite screenshot on Steam right now. So when you go to my Steam page, like one of the first shots is this big old space shuttle because everyone keeps screenshotting it. And so it's really, really cool to be able to just create the fleet you the way you want it. Name your guys, have them live and die depending on how you manage things.
Right.
Yeah. And also, there's also a lot of events, which you discussed a little bit earlier, which was very Oregon Trail inspired. And each event, some of them are just for fun, and they do little things for your ship. Sometimes they're really detrimental, sometimes really positive. For example, another popular event that I see posted a lot on Steam is there's an event that switches the genders of all your crew. So if they're male, they're now female. They have hair, longer hair, and things like that. And if they are female, they're now male, and things like their hair's shorter, but it has the word son added to their name. So if it's Julia, it's now Julia's son, things like that. Just to make it so it's a little more masculine and just really really fun and silly. So some of the events are just literally silly events that you get to just enjoy and go, well.
That's awesome. You definitely have a good sense of humor in this. There's the Doctor Who references, the Star Trek references, and a lot of other ones. This actually, it's funny because these, being a little bit older, this reminds me a lot like the original Duke Nukems or Commander Keens and stuff like that. So yeah. I really enjoy that a lot.
Exactly, and I think a lot of people who are into that niche of games really flocked to the game pretty quickly, which was fantastic. And, I wasn't sure how the game was going to do when it launched, or what the reception was, if anyone even cared. Because like I said, I kind of designed the game around something I really kind of wanted for myself, and it was very nice to see that there was an audience of people who were like, oh yeah, this is the kind of game I've been looking for, and I love these kind of games, and that was very, very a very good feeling.
Awesome.
Very validating.
So right now you see me automating. I have them gathering resources. I have them fast forwarded as well, so it goes a little bit faster. If they do encounter enemies, they will individually engage if they're in the vicinity and handle them. But like you said, if you just jump out and do that immediately, there's a good possibility that maybe they bite off more than they can chew. They can find a boss or something like that, and they're gonna have issues.
Yeah, so you have to pay a little bit of attention just to make sure that you know what they're doing. Otherwise, you're gonna have some problems. And the nice thing is, I think a lot of players, after, I think the time frame is usually about an hour or two into the game, they start figuring out that maybe it's better to clear out the zone before I actually start sending guys off to harvest.
Yeah.
And that usually works out pretty well too.
Awesome. Well, and that's one of the things. Also, is let's say if I keep going at the rate that I'm going, I'm probably gonna lose my D here. I'm gonna lose my robot buddy 9832, and you can repair him, correct?
Yeah, so he can be repaired, but he has super low health. He's probably the lowest health NPC you can get in the game. He was not meant to be anything other than a tutorial, like this is how you move around. But I feel like people get really attached to him. So, you know, there's that.
There we go. We put a nice new suit of armor on Heisenberg. I really like this new one here. This is makes it, you know exactly where they're going, as you can see right here, whether they're the captain, what equipment they use normally, and their health, and what they look like. That makes it a lot easier. I really like that.
You can also shift click too to select them on the screen. So if you need to select them all at once, it'll be a little easier.
That's really cool.
Just a little extra management, hopefully a little less frustrating for anybody who's having a hard time managing their crew or keeping track of them.
Okay.
When you have 4 like you have right now, it's not that bad, but when you have like 20, it gets a little out of control. Yeah, it gets a lot of control, so hopefully that'll make it a little easier for people to keep track.
That's insane. Yeah, I've only played a few hours of it both times that I played it, and it's never gotten to the point where I became overwhelmed. But yeah, if you're having multiple ships and that many people per ship, that's insane. That's gonna add up real quick.
Yeah, it's really intense. And that's where you start losing crew too, because you're not tracking them. So
the pause feature then comes in handy even more so.
Oh, for sure.
It's insane. That's awesome.
All right, so we're a little over time. You guys are having so much fun. Tenchi, I'm gonna have to cut you guys off.
Yeah, no
I'm
worries.
sorry,
No
Cold
problem.
Rice. I mean, this is obviously a game that has a massive amount of content. There's no way we can show all of the things that are possible in just 45 minutes.
He did a great job of showcasing like the basic essentials and the basic gameplay. So that was fantastic. So I think you get a pretty general good idea of how this all unravels, and you got a chance to hear that awesome soundtrack from Chipsel. And before I let that go, I almost forgot. I have to make sure I rep her because her soundtrack is, without being punny, out of this world. It's really good, and I did not expect the soundtrack that she gave to me. When she did. We started off with a lot of ideas and concepts, and suddenly she just hit the stride about midway through development, and it just got insane. And all the music on the game is so good. Let me link that in chat here real quick.
Awesome.
That way people can see it, because even if you don't like space games, even if this is not necessarily your thing, not big into pixel art, everyone so far has just enjoyed that OST, that soundtrack, and you have to check that out.
Awesome. All right, well, hey, Cold Rice, it's a pleasure to finally meet you, I guess, as face-to-face as the internet is, and thank you very much for letting us play your game, man.
Oh, totally. Are you gonna be at PAX?
Yes, I will.
Oh, I'll see you there.
Yes, definitely.
For sure. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Yeah. Bye.
All right.